Hi everyone, I'm Alex from Mini Home Jungle and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the Asparagus Setaceus. It's a very beautiful ornamental plant. And then later we're going to divide it to get a few plants from this one pot. To know how to take care of this, first you need to understand what's the natural environment in which it thrives. Its native habitat is southern and eastern parts of Africa, but later it was introduced to other parts of the world in which now it's considered an invasive species, such as Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, Cuba, and also Spain and Italy. It's found in tropical, subtropical, and warm temperate climates, which means that it's not very hard to take care of. It requires some higher humidity levels, which means the bathroom would be a good place to put it if you have good lighting in your bathroom. Unlike me, which I don't, but I still put it there. It prefers consistently moist soil, but the watering will always depend on the place you keep it in. If you put it in a brighter light conditions, it's going to use more water, and so you will have to water it more often. And if you put it in darker conditions, it's going to use less water, so you have to be careful not to overwater it in this case. So if you keep it in a plastic pot, it's going to retain more water, and if you keep it in a terracotta pot, it's going to dry out sooner, so you'll have to water more. In general, you have to keep in mind these two conditions, the light and the pot, which will influence the amount of water you have to give it. I would recommend fertilizing about once a month during the growing seasons, from beginning of spring until early autumn. But it's important not to overdo it. Always check the label on the fertilizer of how much you should use and always dilute it by half of that amount. When you think about fertilizing, it's important to have in mind if you have just bought the plant or if you have had the plant for a long time. Because if you just bought it, it's not good to fertilize it immediately, because the growers usually put a slow release fertilizer inside the soil, and also they put fresh soil so the plant still has nutrients to feed from. If you have to repot your plant, it's best to do it at the beginning of the growing season, so in spring, because the plant is most likely to withstand the disturbing of the roots without any problems. Even though this is a very resistant plant, so I don't think it will ever have problems, but it's still best to do it at this time of year. If your plant is root bound and you decide to repot it, you need to keep in mind that you need to remove the extra soil around the roots, because the plant will have likely eaten all the nutrients that are there. So if it's not root bound and you still decide to repot it, then you don't need to remove the extra soil, because it will unnecessarily disturb the roots. When you repot, always keep in mind that you don't need to put it in a too big of a pot, because if you do, there will be too much extra soil that will absorb all the moisture, and then the plant will basically sit in soil and it won't be able to drink all the water and it will rot. So today I won't be doing a simple repotting session, but I will be dividing the plant. This plant grows in clusters, so the easiest way to propagate it is just to divide the clusters and it's good to go. So as I said, the best time of the year to do this is during the spring, and now it's November. That this is not the best moment to do it, but I'm still going to go ahead because I have another project that is waiting for this to be done to go forward. When I got this plant, it had one little yellow stem inside, and I assumed that was because it didn't like the change of the environment. So I tried to pull out this stem, and accidentally I put this whole cluster out of the soil, which came out pretty easily actually. Then I cut the stem, and this is the plant that I repotted in this way. I divided it, and now it even has a new growth here, so it's doing pretty well. I've also seen people use this plant in a bonsai pot. They put it in the pot along with some moss, and it looks absolutely stunning because it gives a very scenic look of a little landscape with a little forest, because this plant with the thin stems and very furry foliage, it looks like a little tree. I will be using a good quality potting mix mixed with perlite, because perlite will aid the drainage of the soil. So now I will try to just divide the plant. Instead of cutting anything, I will just take apart the little plantlets that are in this big pot and pot them in separate planters. my newly repotted babies. I hope they will be doing fine. If you're interested in seeing updates on them or my other videos, please subscribe. Please let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it. Check out my Instagram page if you're interested to see my pictures. And yeah, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. They very low light. Blah blah. So yeah, no. It's best to do no. Basically, I think I said that.